You want to do this podcasting thing? I don't know. It's weird if we don't.
Yeah.
So I guess we may as well keep that going. The ways we find each other.
This episode is made possible by our therapy partners, Dirty B and Pickett.
Pickett!
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now, broadcasting from the turn, that's Jim. I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
I was thinking that for this
Whitney's
year's...
on administrative leave.
Yeah, yes.
She's been placed on paid leave.
No.
It's like when a cop
we can't
shoots
afford to do
somebody.
that.
Jim and I both look at each other like, no.
Did she go through the couch?
That's not happening.
It's like when a cop shoots somebody, we pay them to take a break.
Right. That's right. Well, she did surrender her sidearm and her badge.
Yeah.
So she's on administrative leave.
She promised she won't shoot anybody ever again.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see.
Well, you never can trust Whitney.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. As soon as she loses a sushi bet, which she paid, it was delicious. I think we all enjoyed it. Very good sushi. Sponsor the show Goemon. Very good sushi. But, immediately...
Mine was a little salty.
Was yours salty?
But I think it was just Whitney's tears.
I think that, yeah. I personally enjoyed those. You gotta dip in.
I don't know. It's a delicacy for sure.
You wanted it. Yeah, you want I'm fine with the salt.
Goes well with the soy sauce.
Yeah, the soda.
I get the low sodium soy sauce, but they just have Whitney crying.
Yeah, that's right. Much better. Yeah, then
prefer my sodium from
she's gone
sadness.
right after that. So, we enjoyed some good sushi on her dime. I think we had a good night as Jacob threatened to order everything a la carte. That was a good time. I still think your suggestion, Nick, would have been fucking hilarious as we sat down, listeners, and we had just each of us put in like 5 rolls.
Yeah, we had 20 rolls coming.
I mean, we had just ordered a large amount of food.
We just ordered the menu.
Yeah.
And, 2 big old sakes, hot sakes, we were ready to go. And then after we get on all the orders, Whitney gets up to go to the bathroom, and Nick looks at us and he goes, "Let's leave." Let's just fucking leave.
Order an obscene amount of food.
And then all of it arrived. She's like, "God fucking damn it."
Later.
You know what? You changed my mind. I think I just want a McDonald's burger. I'm really fine with this. We did not.
Yeah, we did not.
We stayed. But yeah.
Well, the flaw in that plan was we would have not gotten sushi.
Yeah. If somehow
flaw.
she had to take it to go and then
bring
we
it to us,
still get to eat it.
Yeah,
that would be fine. It's funny because Nick has had this fantasy for as long as I've known him that he has repeated in several iterations, but it has to do with somebody brings him something. And I think when we first told it to me, it was I would bring him coffee every once in a while in the morning, be like, "Oh, hey buddy, I'm at Starbucks. What do you want?" And he'd tell me his order. And he just had this fantasy that one day I would hand it to him and he was going to throw it right in the trash. Like, thanks. Bam.
Maintaining eye contact.
Just like, why do you want to do this? He's like, man, I just want to. One day, if I didn't want this fucking coffee.
I mean, the experiment is see how many days in a row Jim will bring you coffee while you throw it away in front of him every time.
Yeah.
Because the answer is more than one.
It's more than one.
I could stretch that for a week. I
think so.
Yeah.
Are you going to throw it away again?
No. I really want this coffee this
You
morning.
keep throwing it away, man.
I know. It's been a bit.
You throw it away upside down. Like, I can't even get it out.
But I want coffee today.
Okay, well, then I'll grab it.
I promise this time I won't take the lid off of it and throw it immediately into a garbage can.
So, Jacob...
I'll never forget the time that we shared an office and you spilled your coffee. Like, it was a brand new, like, full... venti Starbucks.
Yeah.
You sat down on the edge of the table and it just fell right off onto the floor.
Yeah.
And I was like,
dumb.
"Where's your God now, Jim?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was the day. That was the chink in my entire theological armor.
Yeah.
So I was like, they did not tell us this could happen at Liberty University. I mean, like childhood cancer or shit like that. Not a problem for the theism thing.
No.
Fucking that was like a $6 coffee.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And you didn't have a sip of it.
I didn't get one.
It's gone.
That's how I lost it all. Jacob, what was Nick's regular order from Starbucks? So I'd be driving, I'd stop, I go, "Hey buddy, what do you want?" He'd say, "The usual. Give me the usual." What do you think his drink was? I'll tell you it was a venti, not that that matters. What was Nick's drink?
Okay.
This is 2017, 2018.
Okay. Based on Nick's general appearance,
Yeah.
I'm going to guess flat white.
Yeah, you're wrong. This was fat.
No.
Appearance.
This
and...
was Nick when he was 800 pounds.
Oh, Frappuccino.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. This is what led to him ultimately snapping and going hardcore exercise.
This was what Ben Stiller pre and post dodgeball.
Yeah.
That Ben Stiller character.
Yeah.
That's Nick is mid dodgeball right now.
When you see Nick just
He's
dry
gonna blow
humping a
back up.
pizza, that's because back in the day he did not stop himself. He would order a fucking brownie cookie frappuccino.
Yeah.
No,
whatever
no.
it was. What was that thing? It was the brownie.
No, it was a venti iced mocha.
Was that it?
Yeah, and it would have
But
whipped
with
cream
whip,
on top.
yeah, you'd always get the
Okay.
whip and chocolate. You'd put some chocolate drizzle on there
All right.
too.
Yeah.
It was just like 800 calories.
It's been years since I've had one of those.
I believe you.
I used to enjoy an occasional because we have a Starbucks right next door to Absinthe.
Oh.
And we used to be pals with the owner of that. It's an independently owned one, not a regular Starbucks one. And so we were pals with the owner, and he would give us a really nice discount, basically like a steep employee discount, which brought it down to regular Starbucks prices.
Yeah,
inside
right.
the casino.
Yeah, because on the strip.
And so, like once a month, I'd go in there and get like a big frappuccino, a big silly like salted caramel.
It's just a milkshake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
all
it
that
was
is.
it was not coffee.
No.
It was caffeinated dessert.
Yeah.
And it really was like 1,200 calories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With all the fixins on it. Hell yeah.
And Matt has talked about because he used to work at Starbucks. He talked about employees there wouldn't look at the calorie thing when they first released the frappuccinos.
Oh, they didn't want
and
to
the
know.
employees were making them for themselves.
Oh.
And like just blow it up.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh shit, the small ones are 1,100 calories.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. They have so much shit in them. A flat white is a really good. Have you ever had a flat white?
I've never had a flat
Oh, I like a flat white.
That's a good one. Yeah. What is a flat white? It's just a latte, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. It's really,
I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah. I've ordered it.
I don't drink a lot of coffee other than just like plain coffee.
Well, yeah.
No, my go-to now at Starbucks, if I go, is it's a venti iced sweet cream cold brew.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was really
the vanilla sweet
vanilla
cream
sweet
cold
cream
brew.
cold
Yeah, that's
brew.
I like a nice cold brew.
I'll do those. Yeah,
Yeah.
but man, if you get them, if you feel those though, dude. Those nitro cold brews. Oh, Jesus, you get the shakes. Those are really heavily caffeinated.
I don't get the shakes anymore.
Not anymore.
Takes a lot to get.
Not from coffee.
No.
As he's taking a sip of his cold brew and then taking a hit of his cigar. Yeah, just on the course.
Just a
Chasing
needle,
it with my
needle
Monster.
hanging out of my arm.
needle. You got that rubber band around my elbow.
Yeah. It's just hanging there.
Sir, you're bleeding.
Nah,
I don't
it's fine.
bleed.
That's
I
just
ain't got
coffee.
time to bleed. Oh, man. Well, anyway, we're going to jump into the show without Whitney because she's running late. You know, she probably won't even make it.
Should run
No.
a week late.
A week late. Whatever.
Well, at least a week late.
Yeah.
We'll see if she's here next week.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she's just ghosting us. I think that's what this is. She's just not going to come back. Like, oh, okay. Thanks for hanging out with us for like a
That
year
would
and
be
a half.
really shitty, but really funny.
I mean, it'd be worth it. Like, I mean, just for that. Like, there's fucking merch. And then, like, years from now, people are like, what's up with this Pew Pew, Texas shit? Like, what is this referencing? Like, oh, dude, there was an era. It's like a year and a half where there was this chick on the show. It was pretty cool.
All right, there was this great practical joke got played on us.
All three guys took ventriloquism lessons. They invented a character just through voice. It was really impressive. We got some great questions for today's show. The first one, I like this one, is about lying about mental health from our buddy, Thunder Cougar Falcon Scoop.
Thunder.
Remember, if you're out there and you're like, man, I want to write a letter into this show and I want it to go right to the top of the queue. Well, you could become a therapy producer because they do not wait in line. They go right through the entrance to the VIP table, just like Thunder Cougar.
What's at the VIP table? An email form.
That's right. There's an email. Greetings, doctors, counselors, life coaches, and Jim.
Yeah.
I've had a question on my mind for a while. And speaking of which, fuck this letter. I think that this is what we need to do. End of the show, not end of the ever show. I don't know what our actual end finale will be.
Oh, now that'd be a funny joke that we can play on Whitney.
Oh, my
While she's
God.
gone, we can just cancel it.
We just fucking end the show?
Just shut it down.
Just end it. This is it. Last episode. Sorry, we decided to do it out of spite.
No. I really don't want to do that.
Got her.
No. Because I don't want her reaction to be like, all right, that's fine.
Oh.
I think that would be more hurtful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you guys ended that thing? All right. Well, thanks for doing it.
Pew, pew.
Oh, good. I was going to talk to you guys about this.
Oh, good. So you got my email then. Oh, okay. End of the season. You know how we do our season finale? Usually goof off. It's around Christmas time.
I know how we do that.
Yeah, you remember how we've been doing it for almost a decade?
Yeah.
I think Jacob and I have a date with destiny. I think we have a little throwdown so Jim can get his doctorate back.
All right. This gives me some time.
Are we gonna box
Jacob's doctorate?
Yeah,
No. I don't want to do any of that.
Royal wrestle.
No. Well, okay, we're getting closer to where I'm comfortable. We can
room
move.
temperature pudding wrestling.
All right. Yeah, I mean, what's our budget on pudding? How are we doing, Treasure?
What is our pudding
Do
budget?
we have a pudding budget?
I've got months to save, so
we can plan for it.
Yeah,
if we put a little aside every month, we could get
I'm
pudding.
willing to take out a loan.
Yeah. I think if we did a pledge drive.
Yeah.
First to pin the other or get the tip in wins.
Anyway.
Agreed, Jim? Agreed?
I mean, we're getting close to an agreement.
Agreed? Shake
Jacob
hands.
is running across.
They're shaking. Hands have been
Hands
shaken.
have been shaken. Pudding
Okay.
wrestling contest.
Pudding wrestling.
This is the end. Probably the end of many
this is
things.
very doable because we just need a kiddie pool.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Those are cheap.
Those are cheap.
And especially in the winter.
Wait, Jim has a pool.
I have a pool. Yeah.
We can just fill his pool up with pudding.
I haven't used it.
Oh, fine.
No, that one's really
There we
big.
go.
We should get a smaller pool.
No, we just get
We just get more pudding.
It'll be cheaper on pudding. We can just get a fuck ton of the powder, the pudding powder.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't think
there you
about the
go.
powder.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking about the cups. Like the
Right,
cups
sure.
are ready to
No,
go.
We're all thinking about the cups,
Oh,
but now
no.
I'm thinking powder.
No,
we
that's
just
the
pour
move.
a bunch of pudding powder into
Yes.
the pool.
Yeah, then a hose.
Yes.
We hose it down. Do we have to use milk? Do you have to use milk? Well,
I don't know.
I want good pudding.
When
I
was
don't
the last
want
time you made pudding?
I don't want
fucking
cheap
know.
pudding. I want the good
Are we
pudding.
planning on eating the pudding?
I mean, no, you don't plan on it, but it's going to happen. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pudding.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and eat it before you guys get in it. No offense.
I also want it to be
You
strawberry
like that low
pudding,
sodium pudding?
so it just looks like a massacre. It just looks horrible.
All right. So we'll sell this live on pay-per-view. This will be on Twitch.
It'll be right after
You can pay for the subscription.
Jake Paul and
that's
Tyson.
Mike Tyson. Yeah. I think we should counter program, actually.
I think so.
I don't think they're the undercard.
I think
no.
we can
I think
sell
we
it on the
just-
same tickets.
This is all one bag.
I like this pudding fight for the diploma.
That's
what
right.
What are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
suggesting
I like
that we do?
I was going to say trivia
PhD?
battle. I was going to say trivia battle. My
see
master's
how-
against your doctorate.
see
I
how-
have degrees to lose.
See
I
how
can lose 2 more.
But do you see how dumb that idea seems now once we've had pudding fight?
Well, yeah. Now, yeah.
All right.
Fucking nothing compares to the pudding fight.
And while we're wrestling, you just yell out trivia questions.
And then we have to
Okay.
answer
And
those.
whoever answers
Oh,
it
they get
correctly-
chairs. They get chairs from the crowd. When you answer a question, you get weapons. Give him a folding chair. Yes, fuck you.
Give him that 3-foot length of chain.
And it's a cage match.
Yeah. The price on this is just going up.
Oh, man, we got a budget.
It keeps getting better.
Hey, if you're
Yeah.
listening to the show and you're not supporting us,
Patreon.com/therapy.
We need pudding.
we need a lot of money for this. Okay, there's not going to be a lot of mental health content in the next few months because we're very pudding driven right now.
If there's not a pudding wrestling level on the Patreon by the time this night is over with, I'm going to be disappointed in
I
at least
can
one
add
of you.
that during
I'll
the
tell you
commercial break.
right now that would convert. Like all the people that listen for free, that would be the thing that would move them. Is they'd be like, wait, so I don't have to listen to the show, but there's going to be that pudding shit, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Take my money, take all the monies. I don't care anymore.
Getting out my credit card right now.
I'll swipe it twice.
No, I'm all in favor of doing a little end of year SmackDown.
I think so. I think we got time to build it up. We got time to make to decide the rules.
I don't know if it's trivia though.
I don't know. Well, we got to do something verbal, so it's got to
gotta
be
do something, but
All
I just don't know if it's trivia.
All right, I'm open to suggestions.
I don't have a
suggestions.
better idea. Trivia is winning right now.
Yeah, because we don't have another competitive.
Obviously,
thing.
we're going to do pudding wrestling,
Or
but
it could be-
trivia's winning.
Fill in the song. You know that game show that was hosted by Wayne Brady for a minute, where they play a song and they pause it, and you have to fill in the rest. That could be a good one.
Nah.
While pudding fighting?
Yes.
Okay.
Why do
All
you
right.
ask dumb questions? Of course. Otherwise, what are we doing? The point is really to get to the pudding thing. I mean, this also getting my doctorate thing is a bonus. Like, I would like it back. I want the pudding wrestling more.
All right.
So. Also, you said red pudding?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. You got to get the vanilla pudding, the French vanilla.
Look, if you're going to wrestle in pudding, tapioca.
Oh, okay. So, ironically, right? Because people don't actually eat tapioca.
Flan.
I used to love flan.
Yes. Let's do this. Flan.
Just dump a bunch of flan into a swimming pool.
I mean, if you're going to do that, let's just do creme brulee.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
A nice crust right over the top. First one to fall through.
Yeah, oh, that's the bit. Well, okay, so we're gonna put a plank on the fucking pool, and we both get like those huge gladiator sticks, and it's just hitting until somebody goes through the crust.
I don't hate the idea of doing a pugil stick contest.
I think we've got it. I think that was it. We landed on a great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be fine. So we have months to plan this. We'll get the deets sorted, but pay-per-view. Patreon.com/therapy. We will live broadcast Jim fighting for his doctorate back.
And that's all the time we have for Thunder
Great
Cougar
show.
Falcon Scoop.
Thanks for the letter, Thunder, and thanks for sponsoring the show. Goodbye.
Fine.
All right. Lying about
Ask
mental
your
health.
question, Thunder Cougar Falcon
Fine,
Scoop.
since you give us money. I've had a question on my mind for a while, and it's about time that I ask. I think it would be good to hear some professional opinions about it. How do people approach other people who have either a substance use disorder or mental diagnosis, but may lie about it from time to time to gain something? Does the approach change when the person is trying to weaponize their problem to gain something, compared to a subtle cry for help? That something to gain could be anything from a ride to attention or even material things. I'm sure a simple and effective way of handling it would be to tell them to stop lying. But what if it's not that simple? I'm sorry for making the question so vague, I'm not even sure how to ask this. I won't go into details, but I'll say that this question comes from a friend we'll call Sarah, who is diagnosed with schizophrenia. Sarah is an awesome person who would occasionally hear voices in her head and have harmful thoughts. Thankfully, she had a good support system and an amazing boyfriend who was always patient with her. Fast forward to some years later, where me and my friends could have been noticing a certain pattern. Let me first say that we've all known Sarah for years, and we know she has schizophrenia. We don't think she was trying to do anything bad or gain anything from lying, and we all cared for her. But whenever we would have parties and get-togethers, it seemed to us that she would coincidentally hear voices in her head when it looked like the boyfriend was getting more attention than her. Every time. The two of them would always leave to another room and come back after a while and things were good, but it was something multiple people had picked up on. Again, we don't think she had ill intent and we were concerned for her. It seemed like she may have started this behavior after a traumatic incident had happened that affected all of us, and we thought it was a way for her to handle the newfound burden. It's also possible that we were just wrong. As more people noticed, we got together to talk about how we wanted to talk to Sarah about it, but we weren't sure how to approach it. It seemed a wrong time to bring it up at a random moment. Some wanted to strike while the iron was hot, but the question on everyone's mind was, what if we're wrong and she's really hearing voices at that time? She could need help and we're turning her away. Or what if it's true, but we bring it up when she's not lying? We eventually settled on trying to bring it up to the boyfriend. I wasn't there to talk with him, but it didn't go well for the people who did.
Really?
The boyfriend couldn't believe all of us thought this about Sarah and threatened to end friendships with everyone if we brought it up again, so we left it. Nothing major ever came from it, but this was always a moment in my life that stuck with me. Has anyone in the Pod Therapy crew ever had to deal with something like this? How is the best way to approach something like this? It'd be great to hear some opinions and possibly experiences from doctors and counselors about this, and Jim too.
Thank you.
Fuck you, Thunder. Thanks for everything.
Even when I see them coming, they're still funny.
Yeah. Thanks for everything y'all do. It was great to see Jim, Nick, and Jacob again, and finally meeting Whitney. Pew Pew, Texas. See ya at the next Scoop Fest. Thunder Cougar Falcon Scoop.
That was fun hanging out with Thunder.
Thunder.
That was a good time.
This is Thunder where you didn't know it was Thunder Cougar Falcon Scoop for like the longest time. Like you guys just sit there bullshitting and you're like,
we're just sitting there talking.
So anyway, what's your name, man?
Yeah, and he's like, dude, I've met you like 10 times. It's like,
Shut up,
And then
Mom.
afterwards, I was like, "Oh yeah, I do remember." Yeah.
Well,
But no,
don't show up
it was
when
a
we're
blast.
drunk.
It's a good
Make
time.
friends with us when we're not.
Good time. Okay.
I would suggest we handle this question in two different avenues.
Pudding?
Okay, three different avenues.
Yeah.
Sarah, like dealing with that one situation and then the thing overall.
Okay.
Yes.
Specific and general.
Yeah.
I like and pudding.
All right. So let's talk specific.
I'll take the
Sarah.
pudding. I'll take
Okay.
that angle.
Fair. You didn't have to say it. We all knew.
Thanks. I appreciate that you defer to my expertise. Yeah. Thank you.
The thing with specifically with Sarah. Okay. So
Was there a
you
chance
brought
that
up-
that conversation ever could have gone well?
I don't
No.
see it.
I don't
No.
know. Yeah.
And
I mean,
here's,
boyfriend maybe, but he was pissed. So
here's
yeah, I
the
kinda feel it.
interesting thing with that is their observation was very good.
Yeah.
And their observation could be 100% correct.
Yeah.
And they could be 100% wrong as to why they're correct.
Sure.
Okay. Because, yes, it could be very possible that she is noticing he is getting more attention than her,
Right.
and she is experiencing an increase in auditory hallucinations.
Right.
And those two could be causally
It could be a cause and
linked.
effect.
Cause
Yeah.
and effect,
Yeah.
yeah. But it doesn't necessarily mean that she is manifesting that
No.
or she's lying about it, because what we do know is that stress can
Yes.
oftentimes increase the likelihood or the intensity
Yes.
of auditory hallucinations. So if an environment or a situation like that causes her stress, the stress could be triggering that. So
Yes.
it may not be something that she is lying about or making up, but you could be right in that it is a causal link.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the specific of could Sarah be somehow influencing the experience, or can the environment and context influence the voices? Yes. Could Sarah, let's go with the alternative that Sarah is seeking attention and that there are, now again, we like Sarah, but could there be scenarios?
Is she a Patreon?
No.
I like her less.
All right. You want respect? Pay
Yep.
for it. That's how this show works. But no, like you think about it globally, I think that I have seen scenarios where somebody is, kind of using the diagnosis that they're dealing with in life as an identity. And they're sort of wearing that as a hat, and it comes up. And
We've talked about this off air before.
it's come up. Yeah. We've known people that do that. I've had patients that do that. And, that's interesting, right? Because part of the way they're dealing with it sometimes is kind of turning it into a nice thing or like broadcasting it. And that's curious, right? Because sometimes I think that it's off-putting for other people, and they're kind of thinking like, this is sort of obnoxious just because you're sort of look at me about this. And I'd feel like that if you were just, a person who had an interesting backstory and just constantly brought it up. Like, it just feels very look at me. And then sometimes it's kind of like off-putting because it's like, well, you seem to be celebrating it and sort of like trying to make this something you're proud of when it causes an awful lot of people an awful lot of suffering. And that doesn't probably seem great. And then there's this other thing of like, well, there's some people that are insecure, and it's like they're using this to make themselves interesting. So that you'll talk to them about like, oh, you have generalized anxiety disorder or whatever. Like, can you tell me more about that? Like, yeah, sure. Let me tell you about it. It's like, it's about them. So there are definitely scenarios where this happens.
Or we don't hear anything about your mental health
Right.
until you're getting reprimanded at work, and then we hear
Now we're hearing about it. Yeah. Why are you late for the third fucking time? Yeah. Depression. Like, okay.
That's
like,
right.
I want to be sensitive, but at the same time, it's dangerous. So
Becky
yeah.
has 3 kids that she puts on the bus every morning and makes it to work on time.
Right. Yeah.
You've got depression.
Find your way.
I believe you, but
Yeah.
I need you to be your work starts
still
at 9.
Yeah. Come with your depression.
Yeah.
Put your depressed ass in the chair. So, this is a real thing. And I think it's Thunder, it's such a hard thing to manage because when you look at it, I think it's tricky because what's the right move? And I think as a general rule, the safest move is just to sort of not reward that kind of stuff with attention. I think you can kind of just starve it with disinterest. But unfortunately, any social situation you're in, you might have to hear this person off in the corner trying to hold court
Right.
and talk about their mental health or whatever's going on, and now they're getting their attention. And I don't know how to manage that. I mean, I think it can be
And
off-putting.
there are appropriate times to have those discussions socially as well.
It comes up.
Yeah.
You know, it comes up. And like, I kind of look at it like, well, what kind of damage is this doing, right? Like, okay, this person, maybe this is one of the only things they feel comfortable talking about. Maybe I am just seeing a very insecure person use this to feel interesting and powerful for the day. Great. You got it. You were right. That's what's happening. Now what? There's
Well,
no
it's a good
reason
time to bring
interfere.
up imposter syndrome to that person, and have a discussion about that.
Now's the time to bring that up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I kind of just think about it like just take a piece of neutrality on that and say, you know what? There's no benefit to interfering with that. If I'm going to confront the friend on it, I would want to confront from a position of concern, to be able to say to my friend, look, I love you, Sarah, and when I see this, I'm not always sure how I should respond to it. Is this you having a mental health emergency, which I think requires my full attention, and then I feel guilty enjoying myself at this social occasion and relaxing and having drinks with friends? Because if you're truly in crisis, I'm uncomfortable enjoying myself now. I don't feel good ignoring you. I feel like I need to bring 100% of my attention to you. But if this is something that is contextual and maybe in the moment you're sort of broadcasting it at a 7 when really it's at a 3, and just there's a need to kind of be attended to, but it's not a crisis. Can you whisper that to me behind the scenes so that I kind of know that I can continue enjoying myself and that you're not going to feel betrayed or I'm doing you an injustice?
Also, there are plenty of people out there, because you're describing social situations, and I'm making an assumption here, but I'm assuming that there's probably some alcohol involved as well in a lot of these social situations. There are a lot of people, we all know them, who, when they have a few drinks, they enjoy being the center of attention.
Right.
They become louder, more boisterous. A lot of their qualities that are always there kind of magnify.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be as simple as something like that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I always have this. This is always going on in my head. You know, I've had a few beers now, and my tongue is a little looser than it usually is.
Right.
And now I'm just talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a damn good point.
Yeah.
And maybe that's, you know, a little bit of a cusp thing too, which is, are you not necessarily lying about it? Are you not necessarily exaggerating about it? But are you just in your cups?
Yeah.
You know, and is that a part of this too? Or the context that you're just socially happening? And there's a lot of layers to it.
I think for me, if I'm in this situation, the first thing I'm looking at is, who am I to this individual, and what is my role, and what are the expectations that I have? Because that changes a lot. You know, depending on what my role is. If this is just a friend, then I'm kind of taking the same approach that Jim brought up, as far as like, okay, I can, you know, if I feel like this is getting a little overblown, I like the philosophy of starving it from attention, you know.
Yeah, reward it with silence and disinterest.
Yeah, just.
But you brought up a really
it.
important point, which is that people with schizophrenia and who are experiencing psychotic features as well, that can be provoked contextually.
Yeah.
And that is like, if a person were to see their partner talking to other people and enjoying themselves, and voices are almost always persecutory. They're not just telling you the weather forecast. They're not these benign things in the background that just usually say like, oh, I think it's going to be hot tomorrow. Like, okay, thanks, voice. You know, you should have Corona. Okay, bye, voice. Like, it's not benign. And they're usually going to say mean things. And it might be like, hey, that person's going to have sex with your boyfriend. You know, that person's going to hurt your boyfriend. That person over there that's talking to your boyfriend is secretly going to hurt him. And like that can really start to get to you because you're witnessing all this attention.
The interesting thing too with the voices, with the auditory hallucinations and the things that you're hearing, is you don't necessarily even have to believe them, but it's just the overwhelming effect of all of them constantly hitting you. You know, using that example that, oh, they're going to hurt my boyfriend, or she's trying to sleep with my boyfriend.
Right.
Sarah may not actually believe that, but there's only so much of that you can really hear before it finally starts to irritate you.
And it's distressing. And, you know, this really circles back around to another question we've gotten years ago, which had to do with people wearing a diagnosis that isn't true, you know, identifying as a diagnosis. And this question of like, should I challenge them? Like, I feel like they're inaccurate and they're broadcasting this, they're making this a social thing, and like, I feel like I should correct them or something to that effect, which I think is in alignment with Thunder's question of like, there's a hint of doubt, you know, and like, I just don't know what's the best friend posture to take if I'm a pro mental health person. And if you're wearing this or exaggerating these symptoms in the moment, that's a disservice to the greater good of mental health. And like, I want to be an advocate, and like, I don't know what side of the fence to be on. And I think the general advice we've always taken is take a posture of believing the person and just take a posture of comfort.
And I agree with that, especially in the sense that like, I would much rather err on the side of believing them than not believing them, because even by believing them, even if they are kind of making it bigger, exaggerating it, even if they are doing that, there's a reason why they're doing this. Something's still wrong. Right. And so it may not be the actual diagnosis. It may be something else, but something there is causing a problem. And that person is still suffering in some way. Now, again, it kind of goes back to what role do you play, and is it your job to intervene in that?
Right.
Given the example of, this is a friend versus like, okay, if I'm this person's supervisor at work and it's impacting their ability to function, well, now I've got a different role to play. And so now I kind of have to intervene in a different way.
That's exactly right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think the other half of this question is the implication that if a person is exaggerating or wearing these symptoms, it could be disruptive to the occasion or disruptive to what's going on. How much of that do we suffer? At some point, is there some kind of pushback? And I think you nailed it. Like, the variable there is, what is your function in this? Are you the host? Is this person causing a scene to the point where your guests are uncomfortable and you need to discontinue the party? Are you the boss? What is your role? Boyfriend has a role. And boyfriend, I think, can talk to girlfriend Sarah about this question of like, hey, when I'm enjoying myself, you reel me back in really hard with a crisis move. Like you jerk me out of enjoying myself with these people, and I kind of have to attend to you, or I'm a bad boyfriend. Let's talk about that.
And if it's not a problem for boyfriend, should it be a problem for friend?
This is part of the deal. We've talked about it privately. I get it. I expect it, and I reel her in. Yeah. Fine.
There's also not a chance, like having this conversation with the boyfriend, there's not a chance that conversation goes well. Yeah. Because there are two options there. One, it goes the way that it did. Boyfriend defends girlfriend and says, no, you're just way off base, and you're making an unfounded accusation.
Yeah.
The other option there is just as bad, but from the other direction. Oh. The other option is, yeah, she does that, and then you look at him and go like, why the fuck is my friend dating this douchebag that just completely threw her under the bus?
Right. Yeah, she's just crazy, man. She throws it around, and you're like, ew.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that conversation, the reason I laughed at that conversation earlier when you were describing it,
is
you
like, don't see a
there's
road.
Not a single good path. That doesn't end with the boyfriend going, oh, I've never thought about that, but maybe you're right. Let's sit down and have a really in-depth conversation about this.
I feel like we've all learned something today.
Yeah.
I think the only way I could see myself...
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe! I feel like the only way I could see myself doing this is one-on-one. Yeah. Like pull and being a good friend,
telling everybody else to get the fuck out.
Yeah. Just one-on-one and just saying, "Hey, brother, none of my business between you and me." Sometimes I notice Sarah seems to do this when you're on fire, when you're having a good time and you're taking over the room. And I care about both of you. I love her to pieces, but I also want you to feel safe that if that frustrates you or you have your doubts about that, I'm your friend too. And if you feel like you need to confide in me about that or you want to talk about it, I just want you to know that I've also noticed that. And I'll leave it there. Mm-hmm. Great. And if your buddy's like, yeah, man, that's really frustrating. It puts me in a pickle. I don't know what to do. And I don't want to seem like a bad boyfriend. I'm kind of on fire, but I don't want to seem selfish. But she kind of reels me in. And I've noticed, okay, great. Now you're just being there for your buddy. Neither of you can really change that behavior of Sarah's. But if anybody, could it be boyfriend? And boyfriend would say, we need to talk about what's, crying wolf, right? If you're crying wolf to reel me in whenever I'm on fire, or I'm having a good time, you could risk this problem where eventually I do not believe you whenever there's a real crisis and you really need my attention, and it could begin to hurt the relationship. Mm-hmm. So I like Thunder's point where there's a lane for loving, concerned friends who like both of these people to notice it and take a curious approach to this and think, what's the standard here? What's going on? But I do think that their posture probably is just, hey, look, we love you. We're here for you. We always believe you. We always take you seriously. We do notice there are very specific conditions that seem to provoke this. We're going to always assume the best and assume that nobody suffers willingly. And so it's going on and we're just here to support you on it. I think that's probably the best posture. But I will take a bit to explain to the world, we have a diagnosis code that we use and a special phrase that we use in clinical parlance that describes fucking faking it, because there are people that fucking fake it. And they will come in and they will tell us all about their symptoms so they can get a diagnosis and go off and get some pills or whatever it is, whatever their reasons are. And there are times whenever we actually have to use this code, or we'll be talking to each other and we'll say, oh, what's the diagnosis on this patient? And we'll say malingering. And that just means they're faking it. Like they, for one reason or another, whether they mean to deceive or whether they are self-deceiving, they are malingering. They are cosplaying as having this mental illness. And we can tell that you don't actually have it, but you want us to think that you do. And so, yes, there are times that happens, and it's unfortunate. And, I think that even when that happens, we're not antagonistic to that person, because I think a therapist still looks at that person and thinks, there's a lot going on in your life that you feel like you got to wear these clothes, that you really want to wear this mask. That still tells me that there's a lot of brokenness, there's a lot of hurt. You need this for some other reason of validation or something.
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Clearly, you still need therapy, so you're in the right place. Yeah. But yeah, if you've ever been diagnosed with malingering, which you probably wouldn't have seen, that's in the chart, that means that we thought you were faking it. It's very rare. We don't use that diagnosis very often. But yeah, sometimes you will see it. And so there actually is a word for that in clinical parlance. Great question, Thunder. Appreciate you, even though you insulted me twice in the same fucking letter.
I don't see how that's an insult.
Yeah,
Mr. Jobin.
I'll see you in the pudding. All right. We'll see. We'll just see.
Oh, we'll see.
We'll see. All right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to see.
We're going to fucking see.
We're going to see.
At the Thunderdome.
Oh, it's going to be seen.
Can you please dress up like as wrestlers?
Of course.
I want outfits.
What are we? Amateurs? Of course. Spandex? Yeah, we're doing the whole fucking thing.
But then it's going to get real uncomfortable because we're just going to fight.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a real fucking
Jesus,
fight.
they're really fucking going.
We're going to be hurt by the end of this.
Just lots of pudding everywhere.
Someone's going to win.
Well, pudding and
we
blood.
are going to be injured.
As Jacob is bashing me over the head with my diploma.
Yeah.
Now you want it back, bitch?
Yeah.
That'll be his signature move.
It's going to be
he
bad.
hits people with Jim's diploma.
I'm counting on it.
It's going to be really uncomfortable and difficult to watch.
Tune in to pay-per-view, patreon.com/therapy, the end of the year finale, probably end of the show. Somebody's going to jail. Somebody's going to the hospital. Check it out.
And somebody's feelings are getting hurt.
And somebody's going to eat a lot of fucking pudding. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about self-destructive self-care. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sandy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, and Mrs. Hot Dog Scoop. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/therapy and sign up to become a Theraproducer. All right. Trivia this week. Auction items selling price.
Ooh, I like this.
Okay.
Little Price is Right
the
action.
price that they went for.
Price that it went for.
Oh,
okay.
I'm going to give you what it was. I'll also give you the year that it was auctioned off.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And you got to tell me the price. Now, here's the thing. There's only two of you competing.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we did Price is Right rules, this is going to be a boring-ass game.
Yeah.
All right, so what you're going to do, you're both going to give a number. Whoever's closest. You can go over.
Okay.
Whoever's closest.
I like that.
And I put together this nice Excel spreadsheet so I can just type in the numbers and it will automatically tell me.
You fucking coded an Excel spreadsheet?
Right here.
Wow.
Yes.
Buddy.
Here we go.
You're the buffest nerd I know.
Thank you.
By a wide margin.
All right. Star Trek actor William Shatner's kidney stone.
Oh my God.
In 2006.
Are you kidding me?
All right.
Jacob, you go first.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Wow, his dick nugget. That's crazy.
Kidney stone 2006.
I used to be in a band called Dick Nugget.
That was my nickname in high school, man.
Shatner's kidney stone was their single. I'm going to say
Shatner's kidney stone.
$100,000.
Oh my God. In 2006.
Yeah.
Oh, you're probably not
2006.
off. I'll bet you're real fucking close.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to reach for the under, and I'm going to go ahead, and I'll give him a gentleman's berth. I'm going to say 55,000.
That's great, because I think mine is low. I have a feeling that mine is low.
That's low?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the real number.
We'll see, but I have a feeling that mine's low.
If I was voting my conscience, okay, I'm playing 55,000 out of gamesmanship.
Yeah.
If I was voting my conscience, 10,000.
Okay,
But I'm gonna
that's what you'd pay.
I'm gonna take the 55 to get a little bit extra on this thing.
Okay. Jim is off by 30,000. Jacob is off by 75,000.
Oh, it was low.
$25,000.
That's
I'm disappointed in everybody
involved. Way too much.
I'm just sad for everyone involved.
25,000.
Somebody got a steal on that.
Point to Jim.
Yeah,
All right, here we go.
damn.
Pope Francis's Harley Davidson motorcycle.
The Pope had a Harley?
He did
Damn.
in 2013. What did that go for?
Oh, shit, I have to remember what I paid for that.
Jim, you're up first.
I mean, I guess a Harley out of the box is already going to be, I don't know, 50, 60. So
Well, it's what kind of Harley, too? Is it like
Yeah.
a fat boy? Is it a little sports?
It's a Pope Mobile Harley. You
Does it have a
idiot.
big bubble on it?
Yeah, it definitely is a bubble.
What about
on it.
this didn't you get?
I
don't
imagine
know how
some
this
kind of like Jetsons
Clearly.
version with
Right.
like a glass.
The
dome.
bulletproof bubble
Yeah.
around it. It's a gerbil ball, basically. Right. It's just the Harley in a gerbil ball. You just roll
that'd
around.
be so loud.
And he'd die, of the exhaust. All right, so I'm going to say Harley out of the box. I'm guessing it's 50, 60K. I'm going to say the Pope's Holy Harley. That's a cool $250,000 without breaking a sweat. That's a global bidding contest. $250,000. Give me
125,000.
250.
250,000.
$250,000 is 250.
250.
You're correct.
Yeah, he's
it is.
terrible at math
I
unless he's
would
got an
like
Excel
a point
spreadsheet in
for
front of him.
knowing that.
That's
Yeah.
why I have an Excel spreadsheet,
right.
so I
Yeah.
don't have to
That's
do
right.
math.
No
So you're
math.
at 250.
I'm taking $250,000.
All right, I'm going to go under because the people bidding on this are fucking tithing 10% of their income already.
Good point.
Yeah.
They're broke.
So they're starting at 90%.
Yeah, the Holy Harley
Like,
is out of their range.
Pre-tax,
Yeah.
they're starting at 90%.
Good point. Yeah, really good point.
They all have at least 12 kids because they love those fucking disciples.
That's right. Got a full Catholic.
Yeah.
Because if you're buying the Pope's Harley,
Yeah.
you're all fucking in.
Yeah.
All right.
You have like a reliquary in your home.
Yes. You are.
I knew Catholics growing up because Louisiana has got some serious Catholics.
It does.
That had things like pieces of bone of saints.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
things like
the
that.
relics.
The relics. That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had reliquaries. That's
it.
Literally
Yeah,
the word I
yeah,
just said.
yeah.
That's right.
Showcase for the relics.
Yeah, they had like popes or saints' bones on
yeah.
display in their home. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
That's
you're at
real
250.
Catholicism.
I'm gonna be at.
Pre-Vatican II, bitches.
I'm gonna be at 150. About 150.
Boy, you're low, buddy.
Yeah.
You're low. You
I'm also-
underestimate the power of the Pope.
I might. I often have before.
This is true. The
I-
Pope
Like
dribble
when
ball.
I got in that pudding wrestling match with the Pope, I really underestimated him.
He can fucking throw.
I'll tell you what, that hat is heavier than it looks.
That's where he keeps his crowbar.
Jacob, I liked you showing your work, but you are closer to 0 than you are to the actual number.
Oh wow! So we're both low.
$327,000.
Wow.
Point goes to Jim.
Damn.
All right. Last one for this round. Benito Mussolini's Alfa Romeo,
Oh, shit.
sold in 2015.
What,
Oh,
what year was the car? Alfa Romeo was a car.
19,
Correct.
what? Fucking 30?
Would have been like, I think it was like a 35 or something
Okay.
like
Yeah.
Okay. And it was sold what year?
It sold in 2015.
I'm surprised it was in one piece, dude. They ripped everything that man touched and
So
shit
that
all
means
over
it was sold to like a weird collector then.
At that point, I don't think you're a bad person for buying it. Like if you buy Hitler's car,
I don't think you're a bad person for
2015.
buying it. I believe a bad person might have bought it, though.
Oh, yeah.
I believe
they
there
were
may
in
have
the
already
contest.
been a bad person.
Yeah. They're in the eBay lobby.
Yeah,
they are
that's it.
bidding. Yeah, they
I
are
don't think,
also bidding.
Like if somebody just bought the car, they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm interested in historical cars."
Yeah.
And so I bought Mussolini's car.
Yeah.
I go, "Great." I don't know that that's the only person bidding.
Right. I have a World War II museum. I buy artifacts. I populate the museum. Great. He's also in the bidding contest.
Yeah.
And there's just a fascist in there.
That's it.
Yeah. Who's like, we need this for religious reasons.
Man, I have no idea what a 1930s or 40s Alfa Romeo would go for in the first
You got to
place.
figure that's already pretty valuable, right?
100-year-old
100-year-old car, man. There's value to that.
There is. I don't know if it's six figures of value.
Oh, boy.
No, just the car by itself, without the provenance.
You just think 100-year-old Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Let's assume it's in great condition.
I mean, it better be a fucking tip-top mint condition.
Let's assume it drives.
Yeah. I'll guess... Man, I've been wrong on every single piece of logic that I've had in this game so far.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go above where my guess was gonna be.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 125K.
I think that's low.
Okay.
I think
Based on history of this game, you should go with your instinct
Thank you.
and not pay any attention
given
to mine.
the Pope Mobile, we know how much Italian people are willing to pay.
It's true.
For some famous vehicles. So I'm gonna say I don't know if it outsells the Pope Mobile. I don't know. The Holy Harley I feel like is gonna do better. I want it to do better than fucking Benito Mussolini's car, but the historical value is very high.
Also, the world we live in.
Yeah, we live in a fucking weird place.
You want the Pope Mobile to go for more.
I want it to. Yeah, especially that Pope. I like that Pope. I'm gonna go $500,000. Give me 500,000 on the board.
Ooh.
I think the historical significance is important. And I also think you have to outbid the fascists. And that's something Jacob's not calculating.
Yeah.
The rich guy has to flex and outbid the fascists because if the fascists get it, it's going to be weird. And if they get it, it goes in a museum next to a plaque that says fascism is bad.
So what are you bidding on that?
$500,000.
Okay.
Give me 500,000.
And you bet $250,000.
No, I'm at 125.
Again, he's at
Still
125.
not a quarter.
Nick, you're really fucking bad at this. Do you realize $1 million?
I want to be very clear that was not a bit that Nick was doing.
No! He is grabbing at his face right now.
I know, man.
I got you guys. So good.
All right,
you pudding fuckers.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Before Nick divulges this,
Okay.
Jim,
Yeah.
I have a wager proposition for you. Before Nick divulges this information.
All right.
I like this.
If I'm betting on Jim's answer being correct over mine, I think if Jim's answer is correct, I get 3 points. If Jim's answer is wrong, if I am correct, if I'm closer, Jim gets 5 points for this round.
Interesting. I don't understand how gambling works, and this is confusing because he's betting on my bet.
I'm betting that you are right. I'm betting against myself because I have been just wrong.
I think Jim will get
here.
this, so I'm willing to add another layer to the bet.
That's right.
And the extra layer is
I'm betting against my own interest here.
you want 3 points if I'm right.
Yeah, if I'm right, I get your 3 points and you're at 0. So at the end of the round, I would have 3 points. You would have 0 points.
Yeah.
If you're right, or if you win the bet and I said the correct answer, then you have 5 points at the end of this round and I have 0 points.
I'm gonna say no because I think your bet is or your guess is fucking dumb.
Okay.
I think it's really dumb.
Great.
And I'm not gonna throw away 5 points
right.
when I think I'm gonna get 1, and I'm just gonna keep walking away with this lead.
Okay.
All right.
No deal.
Okay.
Send
Jim?
that case back.
You are way off.
Oh fuck. Damn it.
And you're still closer to the right answer.
That's what I was afraid of.
Oh no!
Jim, you were $1.6 million off.
Holy shit.
That car sold for $2.1 million.
Now I want to know what
my
kind of Alfa
God.
Romeo this was. Was this like a custom Alfa Romeo?
It was a fascist Alfa Romeo. That is all that mattered. It was just
This was an
that.
Alfa Romeo that was bad to its people.
That was it. It was just really Italian nationalist. Oh my goodness. $2.1 million?
Wow.
Uh-huh.
God damn.
It's a lot of money.
You know what? I wanted to live in a world where the Holy Harley was going to fetch a better price. We don't live in that world.
Who bought it?
Yeah, now I need to know that.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, fucking look that up.
The guy that owned the Imperial Palace.
Right. Yeah. Now I need to know, was it bought as a bit? Like what's going
did
on?
Zach Baggins buy it?
Yeah. It's
The Haunted
haunted
Museum?
by Mussolini. Then it's going to make that money. That's an investment. That 2.1 is going to make triple that.
Let's see. Who bought
Okay, this was a
Mussolini's car?
1939 Alfa Romeo.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I found it. Oh, yeah, 2.1 million.
Who owns Benito Mussolini's?
Completely restored Alfa Romeo 6C. Is the type of car it was.
Oh, it's a pretty car.
It's a very nice car.
Wow, you guys sound fascist right now.
All right,
There's
it's a
no
good-looking
difference.
car.
Nope, I hate it. I think that it looks like it's prejudice.
Hey,
and I don't care for
can
it.
look good.
Nope.
Hugo Boss designed their costumes.
Hugo Boss.
Also, when you call the Nazis uniforms costumes, they get real pissed
They
off.
don't care for that.
Yeah,
They do not
They don't
care.
like that at all.
Okay. So we'll need to figure out who actually owns this car at this point. But
It was an Alfa
Nick
Romeo
is
6C Sport Berlinetta.
Berlinetta.
Yeah.
Berlinita, I believe is how
Maybe.
that's pronounced because it is Italian.
Reservoir.
Reservoir Dogs. Okay, while these two idiots are looking this up, I'm going to read our next question. Self-destructive self-care. Hi, Nick, Jacob, Whitney, and Chinstrap.
Oh, it was the car that Mussolini was trying to get away in. Oh, that's information we didn't have.
You buried the lead. Yeah, that is
They
that
were
is
trying, like,
important deeds.
Mussolini and his wife, I guess, were trying to get into Switzerland in this car. They were stopped
it's
at the
escape
border.
car. That's like how much
Or maybe not at the border, but they were stopped at an Italian resistance roadblock in the northern Italian region of Dango.
Yeah. So this makes me wonder if
Holy shit.
O.J. Simpson's white
That was
Bronco.
his mistress.
What would that go for? That's a
it's
historical
sold.
piece.
It sold at some point. It sold to
It's
someone.
definitely out there. Now I need to know that number.
Yeah.
I'll bet it's going to be less than Benito Mussolini's. But
yeah.
not as much, not
Well,
surprisingly
but OJ
less.
had so many more rushing yards.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
really
true.
fair?
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. I mean, Benito conquered half the world, but the fucking juice, just couldn't be stopped.
He also, as far as number of people killed,
Yeah. Much
Mussolini.
lower.
Yeah, definitely
OJ really
takes-
looks like the Pope compared
It
to
looks like the
Mussolini.
white
Yeah.
Bronco might currently be for sale.
Oh shit! Can we get a bid on
As
that?
of April 2024.
Okay, Patreons.
Come on, guys. We need money. It's for a good cause. I swear to God, we're still going to do the pudding
How
thing.
many T-shirts do we need to sell?
I mean, at
We
some
will
point
sell
we
that
will
amount.
wrestle in pudding in the Bronco.
Yeah. There is a Patreon level at which we buy the fucking Bronco and we do the show from the Bronco.
After years of spending at the Alcatraz East Crime Museum in
that's a good
Tennessee,
choice, yeah.
the white Ford Bronco will soon be up for sale.
Oh, yes. Yes. I hope it just goes straight to eBay, man.
We can do this.
We can get this. I feel like it's within our realm.
They're
of
hoping for
raisable money.
1.5 million.
that's a lot of money.
That seems high.
And honestly, if we did raise that, I don't know if I would have.
I mean, I can't.
we get a
other
lot
things.
of pudding for one and a
Yeah,
half
I was
million
gonna
dollars.
say. I was gonna
Yeah.
say. I don't see how we do both. Like, I think we'd have to pick the Bronco or the pudding fight.
I'm kind of on pudding fight.
I mean, you can't eat a Bronco,
It's true.
So I mean, like, there's that. I mean,
You also wouldn't want to eat this pudding.
well, no,
Oh,
but I
the,
mean,
the
you're
Mussolini
going to.
car at one point was just owned by a major in the American army
good
who
for
then
him.
shipped it home. It looks like he took it as a spoil of war.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In World War II, you could do spoils of war.
Yeah.
And it looks like he looks like he took that
Oh,
and just
good for
shipped it
you.
to his family's home in upstate New
Yep.
York.
Put it in a
where he
garage.
drove it as just a normal driver car
daily driver?
until it broke down.
Yes.
I don't know if it was his daily driver, but it looked according to the story, he just
100%
drove
for
it
that.
pretty
I mean,
often.
If I
Yes.
had OJ's Bronco, that's my daily driver.
Oh yeah. I want to be in traffic.
Yeah.
I just want to sit in
1970
it longer.
Holy, this has got like this article. This is on Business Insider. If any of this is incorrect, according to this, in 1970, the Alpha was not in good shape. A high school teacher bought it for $300.
Oh yes.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's so
after he
great.
was told the connection. Wow.
He just picked up a $300 Alfa Romeo.
He contacted a Mussolini historian who was able to put him in touch with the former Nazi driver
Oh my God.
who chauffeured Mussolini in that car.
to verify.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually the car. Wow.
Holy shit.
That's a great ROI.
Oh, so it was like lost. It wasn't lost, but people didn't understand whose car it was.
Right.
And then in 1970, it was finally.
That's
they realized who it
fantastic.
was.
I'm all for that return on investment, man. I hope that's the original seller. Well, not original, but I hope that's the guy that cashed the 2.1.
Yeah,
I hope he got paid
Probably not.
$300.
No, it changed. It changed hands several times between the 70s and early 2000s. According to this.
I think the point of this story is that we all need to be checking Craigslist. Because that was on
for
there.
Mussolini cars.
I mean, fucking, that's where it was at some point.
How do you search for that on Craigslist, Jim?
Man.
Do you just type in fascist?
I think so. I think you just type fascist near me.
Fascist getaway car?
Yeah. Fascist getaway car. And my flights were canceled. Instantaneously. Self-destructive self-care. Hi, Nick, Jacob, Whitney, and Chinstrap. I've been meaning to write in for a couple of years now, but the request for questions recently has finally made me get off my butt and do it.
All right.
I am a 29-year-old, pronouns are he and his, and have been in therapy for a couple of years now. And Pod Therapy helped normalize and destigmatize therapy enough for me to seek help, and I could not be more grateful for what you guys have done and continue to do for regular people. And while I have made a lot of progress, I can't help but have trouble breaking a few bad habits. I've always been the person people rely on since I was young and didn't have the best childhood where I was allowed to be a child. Additionally, I had a dysfunctional and toxic relationship with my family, which I distanced myself from by moving out 2 years ago. I've been establishing appropriate boundaries and working on catching myself from seeking other people's problems to fix. Huge shout out to my therapist. She's awesome. Here's the problem I'm writing about today. Previously, I would hold in my own struggles and problems until I boiled over. My strategy for boiling over was to do something large and ridiculous, like buy an old project car and hyper-focus on completing it.
Like an Alfa Romeo?
I mean, it feels really opportune. It feels really opportune. But 29-year-old former professor buying it for $300, it probably doesn't check out. Like buying an old project car and hyper-focus on completing it, getting into some sort of motorsports with said project car, or other potentially dangerous hobbies, and pursue them with reckless abandon until I would get sick from exhaustion or hurt myself, or partying and binging, drinking, trying different drugs, etc. I've stopped this pattern and can catch myself.
After like the 8th time, I don't think you get to keep saying trying the drug.
Yeah. You're not trying this.
Yeah,
you have a guy. I stopped this pattern and can catch myself before I do it. However, it's difficult for me to focus this energy into something productive and positive, like working out or perhaps going back to school for my master's. I do finally have some level of self-preservation that I did not possess before, but I still crave risky pursuits that get the adrenaline pumping. Does this feeling ever go away? How do I focus that energy into something more positive? Do I just need time and to keep battling that urge, desire, craving, and hope it gets easier? Should I start golfing? Feel free to reword the question. Signed, Anonymous.
Don't start golfing.
I think if you hate yourself, yeah.
Oh, no one should start golfing.
I think that's a great way.
Golfing is an
to
abusive
slowly
relationship.
There's not a
end your
chance
soul.
that you hate yourself enough.
Yeah.
That's right. Look, do
definitely
drugs. Okay?
I'd rather
start
you do
golfing.
drugs than golf.
If you're going to blow the money, get high.
I mean, hell, it's not the 80s anymore. Coke isn't that expensive anymore.
Okay, yeah, it's affordable. Especially if you go to Costco.
Yeah.
There's a guy. You get it in bulk. That's a good discount. Self-destructive ways to kind of cope with what's going on. I think we've all seen it to some extent, but I think the writer's asking an interesting question here, which is kind of doing some excessive risky behavior when they're boiling over, that the steam is rising, they're hot under the collar, things are getting rough, and they're like, fuck it, I'm going to do this big, huge thing. I'm going to put a bunch of money into this new project, big action, adrenaline-seeking, risk-taking. What do we think about that? Does that go away over time? Is that something that you can mitigate? I mean, it's an interesting pattern to be caught doing.
So the thing that got my attention was more of like the time frame and like the level of intensity. Like the way the writer describes it, builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up, and then finally it has to explode and be let out.
Right.
And then it becomes something high risk, potentially dangerous. I guess so. My first thought is like, no, that's not necessarily a bad thing if it doesn't cause problems. Like hyper focusing on, like taking on a big project, hyper focusing on that. Okay, well, if that doesn't cause any problems, that's probably okay. Buying an old car and restoring it, great project. Okay, but it sounds like the problem is with the intensity of it. So if you know, just kind of like that old analogy of like letting off steam,
right?
You know, to just be able to kind of open the valve a little bit every once in a while, as opposed to letting something build up over a long period of time. So we're looking at really kind of creating a pattern of behavior that allows for healthy coping, as opposed to letting it just build up and then explode all at once.
Well, what's interesting about this, so obviously the binging on alcohol and drugs thing, I'm going to put that off in its own box. That's got its own pattern to it. We have words to describe that. Binging behavior, I just want to set that aside for a second. The rest of this, to me, almost sounds like these periodic mini midlife crises where I've seen people do this, where it's like they're doing their thing, they're chugging away at life, they're going through it, and periodically they, you know, kind of snap and they're just like, I'm fucking going to Thailand, and they're just like, bye, and you're like, what? Like, where'd that guy go? Like, he just fucked off for a month and he went to Thailand. He just snapped, or he did something really big. He just sold his house, you know, or quit his job. And like, you know, the writer doesn't talk about those examples, but I've seen that pattern where periodic, like almost mini midlife crises where people just feel bottled up and they feel stifled and stagnant and they feel like they need to do something adventurous. They need to like recapture the spirit of the unknown and just like do something big, take on a whole new project or whatever. And I agree with you, Nick. I think that I don't look at that as something that would necessarily need to be corrected, but I think therapeutically, I would be very interested in it. Like if somebody told me they were doing that and it was also quite unpredictable, again, setting aside the drugs and alcohol, I would say things like, how does your spouse feel about that? How's your family feel? Like, do you suddenly blow your life savings? Do you suddenly get so fixated on fixing this car that like you're no longer a good partner and a good parent?
Is it almost kind of like a manic episode?
Right. Yeah. There would be a lot of question marks that would be associated with that. Because like when you say something like I get hyperfixated on fixing a car, like, do you mean you stay up for 2 weeks and tweak out and try to fix this fucking car? Yeah. That's interesting. You know, like, do you have grandiosity, hyperconfidence, amazing insomnia? Like, then do you crash and become wickedly depressed? Like, yeah, maybe that is. But no, I think that this pattern, I would find it curious. Really, to me, the question I would ask is, does this behavior cause a clinically significant amount of distress? Does it interfere with your family life, your social functioning, your work functioning? Do you take high financial risks? Are you doing life damage when you do this? That to me is the way that I would measure
health issues.
Yep. I mean, now to add back in one of the things Anonymous asked, drinking and drugging. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're touching that stuff and that's part of your self-explosive pattern, I'm not making room for that in your life. I'm not like, yeah, no problem, buddy. Boys will be boys.
Throw gambling in there with the same
right.
thing.
Yeah. Suddenly I take my life savings and bet it all on black, you know, or I go on a weekend bender to Bellagio. Like, no, like these are self-destructive patterns. And the writer says as much and says, hey, this is kind of a form of self-harm, how excessively I get into this, which is where the writer, I think, is circling their question around to say like, okay, so when people have this kind of a pattern, does that feeling diminish over time? Does it go away? Or, and I think this is a fair question, is there a way to steer that energy into something that is positive? And I think that we've seen people kind of do that, you know?
Yeah.
They've creatively come up with ways to harness their restless energy into something that does fine for their lives. It is a good choice, but also gives them that escape from reality that they're looking for.
It is interesting because, like, I would want to dig in a little bit deeper. Maybe this is something your therapist can kind of work on, you know, with you, is kind of understanding a little bit about like where this is coming from and like why the intensity and the short bursts.
Yeah.
Because like the obvious answer for me is to just, okay, you've got a big project. Why don't we just take that chunks at a time?
Right.
Why don't, if you're going to do this, I'm going to restore a car. Let's just, again, use that as an example. Well, instead of like, I'm going to do this and I'm just going all in, having thought about this for 2 days and I'm just going to go all in and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this for the next 36 hours and then I'm just going to abandon the project. Mm-hmm. I want to learn a little bit more about that because like the obvious answer to this is like, okay, well you can still do that, but let's plan on, I'm going to do, I'm going to work on this for 2 hours tonight. Then I'm going to take tomorrow off, work 2 hours on it the next day, and I'm going to space it out. So I'm going to do the same project. I'm just going to do it at a much more manageable pace.
Yeah.
But that doesn't appear to be an option because if it was an option, the writer would already be doing it.
So I had a guy that I used to work with who I think had a similar kind of thing where, he had it together, successful guy, had great family, great careers doing his thing. But he'd get restless, and he'd get to this place of like, I don't know, I just got a lot of things on my shoulders and sometimes I just want to just do something crazy. But the way he would channel that energy, because this restoring a car thing got brought up in this letter, he would go off and buy a hot rod that needed to be restored. And then he would put money into it and repair it and fix it. But he would sell it and he'd turn a profit. So in the end, like, I'm sure his family was kind of like, hey, you seem really preoccupied with this for a while. We're getting a lot less of you. And they kind of learned to talk about it where he was able to explain, like, that is true. I think I'm using this as my escape. I'm not threatening that I could go on a cocaine bender, but like, of all the things in the spectrum I'm probably capable of right now, I'm asking you to be okay with this, because at least this I'm going to sell and put some money into our kids' college savings, at least it's a harmless hobby. Just let me be in here and do my thing. And, so I definitely think there's a way to channel it toward positivity if that can scratch the itch. I also want to be sensitive to the impulse because like this question of like, will the desire or craving just go away if I don't act on it? I don't know. Because if it's an addictive craving, that's a different conversation. Then we're talking about, do you have to binge drugs and alcohol? Like, no, you do not have to. That is, you can absolutely just wait that out.
You get to.
You can, yes, as Jacob, the life coach, says. This is not something you're obligated to do. It is a privilege.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself, son. But no, like this idea of like, I must do these things. I don't think so. But I also want to respect that for many people, this is the spice of life. Like if you say, hey, I want you to work at this job for 20 years and then retire, I'd be like, you know what, man, from time to time, I need to fuck off to Thailand, and just be crazy for a week and just go experience something that's neat to me and exciting and exhilarating and come back. And like, okay, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that that's wrong. It really comes down to how self-destructive something is. That's the metric I'm measuring by. Drug and alcohol binge, I don't love for anybody's life. Restoring a car, obviously very far on the other side of the spectrum. But if it becomes a dysfunctional thing, like it's interfering with the rest of your life, now I'm concerned therapeutically.
Honestly, the more we talk about this, the more I'm on the side of like, you should probably start picking up golf.
Nobody hates themselves that much, Nick.
No,
it's a cry for help.
I think it gives you the learning something new. It gives you something exciting to that sense. And also it's something that you can never master.
You still get to waste a ton of money.
No. So like you
piss off your spouse.
You're motivated to get better at it and you're chasing the dragon. You'll never get better at it.
Chasing the dragon, AKA golf.
Yes, exactly.
Another Masters tournament, watching them chase the dragon.
I'm kind of like this too, in a sense, where a little bit different, but like I get really into something, like I get really into it, and then I find something else that like I really want to get into.
Yeah.
Learning guitar was exactly this way.
Yeah. So was Photoshop. You went through a hard Photoshop phase.
Yeah, I went through a hard
I remember
Photoshop.
this. Yeah.
That's really funny to say.
Yeah.
And it's true.
It is true.
but yeah, like learning play guitar is like I really kind of like into rock, so I start kind of learning the blues and then kind of getting into rock, and then all of a sudden I'm like I want to learn how to Travis pick,
and
so I'm like I'm
keep
just
going.
gonna go into that, and then I want to learn how to play jazz guitar, so then I stop what I'm doing and I go into playing jazz guitar, and then it's like I need to learn how to play ukulele, so I like put the guitar down and go get, it's just one thing after another.
Wow.
And I don't know why. I think that's just kind of how my brain works.
We are not the same man in any way, shape, or form. I do not have the patience to do any of those things. And like never in my life have been like, oh, I feel so stifled. I need to do something extremely technical and laborious.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm like, you know what else sounds good? Go take a nap.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds nice. I'm going to watch Apollo 13 for the 80th time and eat fucking carne asada French fries. That sounds good. But I get the idea of like, I need to do something big. I just need a huge break, a huge deviation from the norm. I don't think that's crazy. Do I think it diminishes over time? Man, I've seen it go both ways. I've seen that kind of behavior soften over time as a person just kind of doesn't. They've amassed a lot in life. They've accomplished a lot. It causes more disruption to their relationships, and so they just tend to not do that kind of stuff. I've also seen it go the other way, which is the classic midlife crisis. Where somebody was mild mannered, straight laced, for many decades, and then they get to a place in their life where they're like, you know what, I love what I've accomplished. I love everything. I cherish everything, but I can see the next, 30 years of my life in a straight line being just this road at 60 miles per hour, and the view never changes, and that's terrifying, and I need something exciting to happen, and I'm going to plunge myself into the mystery, into the unknown. I'm going to take on something that sounds interesting and fascinating and go, and that happens too, and so I don't know that they grew out of it. I think they grow into it. So, Anonymous, it's a good question. I mean, it's really case by case. Therapeutically, though, I am less concerned about this intermittent explosive pattern that you have, and mostly concerned about how it is manifested.
Agreed.
That's everything to me.
Yeah.
Drug and alcohol binge, every time that happens, something could go wrong. You blow $10,000 on a fixer-upper car, and you lose interest in 6 months, and sell it for parts, and ultimately lost $6,000. Manageable.
You can recover from that.
Yeah. Not if you pick up golf. Because then you lose another $6,000.
Yeah.
That's just how that works.
Yeah. And then you're just down the
golf is like herpes.
Spiral.
You don't get rid of it. You can manage it with training and doctor supervision.
You learn to coexist with golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels correct.
That's definitely correct.
Yeah. There's a shirt for that, I think, with the floppy hat, Nick.
Yeah.
I think that's on there.
Oh, that's it.
We got it. Yeah, that's a whole thing now.
There you go.
PodTherapyBaitShop.com. Soon. Nick will use his Photoshop skills.
It has to be me. I'm the only one that
You're
puts
the only
anything
one
on there.
yeah.
So it's like
You're also the only one that golfs in the floppy hat.
I don't golf in a floppy hat.
Also, someone get Nick a big floppy hat.
Oh, yeah. Send that. Send that in. We obviously need that. We need all this stuff. We need lots of fun things.
I am excited, though, that you are working with a therapist.
I love that. That's everything.
Yeah.
That
makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah. And if you're out there and you are feeling really restless and feeling like, man, I just feel, wound up tight. I feel like I just got to do something big. And I've been auditioning all these ideas and I'm like, kind of window shopping all these crazy ideas of taking some adventure or getting into some big thing or, trying shrooms or whatever the fuck it is that's on your mind. Boy, do I want you to get into therapy right now. That's important. Yeah. Go ahead and do that first. Because whatever amount of money you spend on therapy is going to be cheaper than that DUI or whatever other god-awful thing you're about to do or all the money you're about to lose in roulette. Please go do what this writer's doing, talking to a therapist first, moderating those urges, tracking where they come from. That's the way a therapist is going to approach this. Oh, there's the big floppy hat. That's it. That's beautiful.
Oh, that's way bigger and floppier than
is that going to get in the way of the golf swing?
No, that's going to bend. That's going to be great.
You're fine.
I mean, it's not going to be
your
fun.
shoulders won't even burn. No. That's great.
Yeah,
that's a fine.
And you can be shirtless in that hat.
Do you golf shirtless?
You can't.
Oh, what if you wear a Chippendales bow tie?
No.
Because I know you guys have a dress code.
Yeah, it has to be a collared shirt.
The Chippendales guys don't have a collar?
What if you just wear a little collar?
Yeah, just do
What
that.
if you have a little collar with the bow tie?
We can get you a collar.
I don't think that's
There's a way to do this.
This is
Jacob,
fine.
look up the golf course rules.
I'm
I need the
gonna dig
bylaws.
into this.
I need
All
the
right.
bylaws. Yeah, we're going to need a full...
You're gonna have a printout to present to the person from the golf course
Yeah.
that comes out to tell you that you're wrong.
Sir, if you'd pay attention to my phone right
Speak
now,
to my lawyer.
slide 1. Yeah, let me just call my life coach. You can tell
Page
him
12,
that I'm
bylaw
under
3.
arrest. Yeah, he'll read you the rights. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about telehealth therapy. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, and Mrs. Hot Dog Scoop. And if you want to become a therapy producer, head on over to patreon.com/therapy and sign up. And
Can I
you
have
get
your
to
other
hear
Modelo?
name at times like
Oh,
this.
you didn't take either of those Modelos.
I took one of them.
Oh, okay,
drank
then
one.
I want the other one.
Okay.
By the
You're
way,
drinking
the
your mango latte thing.
my search that I put in for that floppy hat was floppy golf hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That checks out.
Yeah.
It's clearly designed for golf.
Yeah.
When we last left our trivia, Jim was kicking the living shit out of Jacob
Oh yeah.
and
Jim is up
overcoming his
3-0.
gambling addiction by turning down bad bets. This guy,
you just thought you were going to lose that bet.
sick of all this
What
winning.
could go wrong?
Sick of it. Nothing
All right.
bad can happen.
Here we go.
Walking on sunshine.
Roger Bannister's running shoes, the ones he wore while breaking the 4-minute mile,
Oh, damn.
auctioned off in 2015.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
Oh, let's see. Jim
goes first.
Jim goes first.
Man, I feel like this has pretty good historical value because I don't know very much about sports history, and I know about this guy.
Well, it was considered impossible.
Yes.
It was considered to be impossible for a human being to break a 4-minute mile.
Yep, because they didn't let black people play sports.
And
back
then he did it, and then everybody fucking did it.
Yeah, it was broken.
And then it becomes common.
Yeah, it turned out every freaking
Which
freshman
is
in high school
perfect
could do
for
it.
the show because that tells you a little bit about like human psychology.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And how that relates to performance.
Yeah.
There's a
I mean,
lesson.
that's the three of us ran and achieved a sub 4-minute mile because of this person.
Yeah, and that
it
electric
was,
scooter.
It was on our way to get sushi.
Yeah.
We got it done.
Well,
Yep.
we were all riding on Whitney's back as well.
Yeah.
So really, she's the hero.
Yeah.
But, we contributed. I feel like this is really important. I feel like among sports memorabilia, this is a very important piece to have. It's one of a kind. I think
Before you answer,
Okay.
double or nothing on the first
he
round.
wants him back.
Whoever wins this
You
round
dummy.
gets all the points from this round
Not
and
gonna
the first
sucker
round.
me, loser. Not
No.
going to happen.
If you
Jim,
win
that's-
this round, you got 6 points.
Okay. Oh, I see where you're
Yes,
going
you get
with
you
this.
get all 3 points from this round, regardless of who gets a point in this round. Whoever wins this round gets all 3
The
points
whole
from
round.
this round,
Oh, you
and all 3 points from round 1.
Yeah.
We doing that?
I don't fully understand it. There's a lot of mathing going on. I'm just going to keep fucking winning. I think
Okay.
that's what I'm going to do.
Interesting strategy.
I'm just going to keep going.
Interesting strategy.
I'm going to
All
win
right.
it again.
Hope that doesn't
I
backfire.
think these shoes sold for give me 100,000. I think it's 100.
Okay.
That's put me in for 100.
99,999.
You son of a bitch. You're going on the low side.
I'm
huh?
going low.
All right.
This feels a little low.
All right.
This feels like my real guess is somewhere in like the 75,000 mark.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to end up being a bit closer on
Let's see.
that. Because, I mean, they're just fucking shoes. But they're kind of like the Neil Armstrong.
They're great shoes. They're good
Yeah.
shoes.
It's a big deal.
1 point to Jim.
Oh,
What was the number?
What was the number?
$411,000.
Oh my goodness!
Technically $493.
Again, I need to know who bought this.
Yeah.
I need backstory on next week's quiz. I'm going to need backstory on all the purchasers of these items.
Yeah.
You're right. I should have done a lot more research.
I don't even want to hear
This
the
is not-
trivia questions next week. I just want to hear the addendum.
All right, here's the guy that bought the shoes for
You may have heard last week some weird shit was
Those are going to be
purchased.
my deep dives for the next 10
There you
weeks.
go.
I mean,
Just
do
gonna
you
interview
wear
all these
them?
people.
If you buy them, do you put them on? Or do you just bronze
You
them?
put them on
Yeah,
once.
You do.
I think you put them on once.
I put them on while I'm driving OJ's Bronco.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're my driving shoes.
I just wear
my
all of my
driving
relics. Yeah. With the Pope's gerbil mobile in the back.
yeah.
Fucking let's go.
All right, here we go.
All the things.
Jacob's first on this one.
Okay.
4 to zip. just getting an ass pounding over
Willie
here.
Nelson's
take
braids.
your medicine. What?
Sold in 2014.
His hair?
Willie Nelson's braids.
That's his hair, right? They cut his hair off.
And like now, Willie Nelson was then still alive.
Correct. He was alive then.
Yeah.
And he's still alive now.
Well,
Right.
The value's going to jump once that's not true anymore.
Yeah.
Then
I mean,
you
whoever
know.
this was who bought it
Yeah.
thought that they were buying an investment piece that was going to pay off within a couple of years.
Oh, months. Like, I think they were like, oh, any day now.
Yeah.
Just watching the news, sitting there rubbing their brains between
All right.
their hands.
I'll do
It's like a rabbit's foot.
I'll do a Tangeman $250,000.
Oh.
Okay, 125,000.
That's right.
125. An Iowa $250,000. Oh, man. I think you got it. I think it's going to, owning the hair, the braids, the famous braids.
I mean, is there DNA in hair? I think
Oh,
there
fuck
is,
yeah.
right?
Those
So
things
you
will still
have-
test positive for marijuana.
Yeah,
100%.
You've got Willie. You could probably smoke those
Oh,
braids.
100%. Yeah, they are hemp.
You could grow a new Willie.
Yeah,
You can clone Willie Nelson from his braids.
Grow a Willie.
Oh, I'm gonna go lower. Oh boy, but man, I can justify going higher. I mean, that is a big fucking deal. I'm gonna because they can be regrown. I think it's gonna be
because Willie Nelson can regrow his hair.
Yeah.
Not
In
because
that
they
way,
can grow
it's not-
not because the purchaser can grow something from the hair.
Yeah,
Start a Willie Nelson hair farm.
Yeah.
yeah. This is like, Tom Brady's Super Bowl football from this. Is like, okay, it can win more. So I'm gonna go with give me 70,000. Let me go under. Let me get 70.
Oh, I've got this.
I've left room. I've left room for a
I'm
gentleman's wager.
I'm betting on myself on this one all day long. What are we betting on this, Jim?
The point. Stop trying to get me out of this.
I know.
I'm just going to coast to victory, my man. The last one's worth $10 million anyway.
That's
You're
right.
going to be fine.
Point to Jim.
No way.
You fucking suck.
No way.
You obviously overpay for your hair.
37.
Let me tell you about where I hang out,
I've
buddy.
got a mitt invested in celebrity
Let me send
hair.
you some bookmarks, okay? In my browser history, I've got some bookmarks. for you.
37,000.
$37,000.
Wow.
Honestly,
Yeah,
that's a fair price. I mean, I wouldn't pay that, but I get paying that. $37K for some Willie Nelson locks. It's up
You're
there.
an idiot.
All right,
You know?
Jim, you're up first on this one.
All I do is win.
Lee Harvey Oswald's wedding ring
Oh.
sold in auction for in 2013.
This is the ring that he used to kill Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, he strangled him to death with a wedding ring.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. As we all
Abraham
know.
Lincoln, known for having a very thin
Yeah.
neck.
Yeah. And he used Willie Nelson's locks.
Yeah.
It's the fucking noose. Lee Harvey
Abraham Lincoln,
Oswald.
fabled amateur wrestler,
Yes.
Yeah.
strangled with a ring.
Yeah.
This was before he killed vampires.
Yeah.
Harvey Oswald.
That was a better movie than it should have been.
Oh, it was so good.
I've heard. I've never
It was
seen
a
it.
great time.
Settle down. It was a better movie than it should have been.
It worked because you came in with no expectations. You're like, oh, this? Okay. I'm just going to have a great day.
There was also one that was like Pride and Prejudice
and
and
zombies. Yes. Yes. Did you see Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters?
No, I didn't see that one.
That was fucking awesome. And the dude just rewrites the books and just throws that extra piece in. It's like, and now there are zombies.
I like it when it's just like ads and whatever.
Abraham Lincoln,
Forrest
vampire
Gump and a
hunter.
dolphin.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, great books. Give me wedding ring. Oh man, what year?
Sold in 2013.
Yeah, boy, man. All right, give me. Oh, it's not gonna be that high. Well, maybe. I'll take 2. Give me 200,000.
Okay.
Give me that under.
Is going under it?
199, 999.
You're going all okay. You're gonna take all that space.
I'm taking all the under, baby.
All right. Yeah, smacks of desperation. There.
It does.
It does. All right.
Jacob's on the board.
Hey!
Whoa! What was it?
It
that
was
sold-
199,997.
I was gonna go 350. So I'm really glad I didn't go that high.
That sold for $118,000.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Yeah.
So, scores.
Again, I want to know who bought it.
Yeah, that's very important.
All I want is I want to know who bought that.
That's an important detail.
Scores
Same guy who bought Bruce
are
Lee's car.
Jim 5, Jacob 1, Whitney 0.
Whitney, you suck.
Come on.
Jesus
Pew,
Christ.
pew.
Texas. Telehealth therapy from Lee Popsicle. Hello to all my favorite life coaches.
Hey, Lee.
Hey.
I found a therapist, but it's telehealth. I'm not an online kind of person, so I had to hook up a camera, headphones, and a mic for my first session. I can, on occasion, meet with him in person when schedules work out, and I look forward to that in what will be my fourth session. I feel a disconnect communicating through a screen. Is this something I will just get over? Do you have any advice for making online sessions feel more personal? Separate and secondary question. Secondarily, I wanted to write in a number of times, but the idea of sending an email to be read on the podcast can be very intimidating. The thoughts of, will I sound dumb? They haven't read it yet. Is it because they don't like me? Or was my email even worth reading? Create a ton of hesitation. I bet I'm not the only one who has those feelings. I'm not sure there's anything you could say to help these thoughts, but give it a try. Pew Pew Portland, Lee Popsicle. P.S. Love you guys. Keep up the super important work.
I'll address the last part first. I'd like to reassure Lee that, yes, all of your fears are founded and true.
We just judge. All we do is stare at it.
That's it.
See, I was going to take a different approach. Interesting on that one.
Okay.
I was just going to point out, Jim, where did you go? Where was it? Was that place where did it go?
Oh,
This
Kolob
Kolob
Reservoir.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to sound dumb.
Yeah.
After
don't worry.
that,
Don't worry,
after
bud.
that, Lee, you're not going to sound dumb.
Yeah.
If you can pronounce reservoir.
Yeah. You can hop
fine.
over the limbo bar.
You're doing
You're
fine.
going to be fine. Yeah. It's down there. It's way down there. This is a good question. So, two-parter here. The first one about telehealth. I'll speak to that, because I provide on telehealth. And then I think we should do the encouragement thing, because I think that's important. But so in my private practice, I've exclusively done the telehealth thing now through Zoom for 4 years since the COVID started. And I've done the math, and I've now been doing virtual longer than I was doing private practice in office. It's definitely a to your own taste kind of thing. I've noticed more and more people as time have gone on are now opting for the in-person therapist. And there was actually a study that just came out that broke down the numbers of how many therapists are exclusively doing virtual, how many therapists are exclusively in person, what are the mostlys, and what is the hybrid in the middle. And the vast majority are back in person. I am in a very small percentage. I think it was like 16% of therapists anywhere are exclusively doing virtual. Like I am. Yeah. So
16 or 60?
16.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, like it's up there with the amount of people that are actually providing some amount of in-person, which Lee's therapist is. Like, it's a little bit hybrid where they're doing like maybe 3 virtuals for every 1 in person, which, I like that. And I've actually been strongly considering doing that as well. Getting back into office maybe 1 day a week, and just kind of giving that as an option for folks that would be the only medium that would really work for them. Because a lot of people do feel like Lee feels, where they're like, you know what I've noticed more so is that I think people, when they're first stepping into that discussion of I'm looking for a therapist, their first thought is, therapy is an item you feel whenever you pay for it. Like, it's not just like, throw in the fries, I won't even notice. Like, no, you're paying for healthcare, and you notice that you're paying for healthcare, especially if it's out of pocket, you feel it. And so a lot of people are thinking, you know what, I really want whatever I imagine to be the full experience. And so I want to sit on a couch in an office, and I want to drive across town. I want to, talk to the secretary. I want to go into this room. I want to see the diplomas on the wall, except for the one Jacob took, and I just want to be a part of this and feel like it's there.
Earned.
Yes, correct. Won rightfully through glorious battle. I'll get it back in the pudding championships. It's coming.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll have it back. I will hoist it over your dead body. His bloated pudding-filled body. I've tried to strangle him with Willie Nelson's gorgeous locks.
The battle of the tips.
So, it is a normal feeling for a lot of people to want that.
I also think that there's something to leaving your home to go to therapy to kind of get into that mindset.
It can be.
I'm doing something.
A lot
agree
of
with
people
that.
think on the whole drive there. What we seem to see, though, is that for those who do hybrid, the data seems to suggest that a lot of people will go in for their first session, and then very quickly they'll tend to prefer virtual. For just it's overwhelmingly convenient, right? There's no driving, no small talk. Instead of having to budget 3 hours of your day, one probable hour to do the driving, or some portion of that hour to do the driving, the second hour to visit, the third hour to drive home. It is literally just put this in between whatever you were in the middle of doing. It's fine. And a lot of people seem to prefer the telehealth thing and for other reasons, because they're in their own home, they're comfortable, their dog or cat is there. Like if they have kids, it's very manageable. They just go to a different room. But there are
easier commute.
It is, 100%. But a lot of people do feel like Lee, where they'll say, for me personally, the telehealth thing just isn't working for me. It doesn't connect. Totally fair, totally fine. So I like this point because I do think that it's good for people to be heard on that.
Does that change over time, do you think? Do you get any feedback from any of your patients as in like they weren't really into it at first, but then they kind of got used to it?
Yeah. So like I've definitely had people that will message me on Yelp and they'll say like, hey, I looked you up. I'd like to work with you. Do you offer in person? And I'll give them the, speech. Hey, I really don't right now. I'm only virtual. And I'll be honest, like, hey, in the future I may return to office. It's definitely on the table. But I don't want you to anticipate that right now. It's just virtual. That's the deal. And I usually tell people, hey, but I totally get it. If in-person is important to you, I have a handful of colleagues that I would recommend who I know and trust. And I think they'd be great for you. And I let people think about it. And I've had, more than a few people say, for whatever reason, I think you're the right fit for me. I'm going to go ahead and proceed with telehealth. I hope this is good. So we give it a try. Majority of the time, I think people ultimately get to a place where they're like, this is great. Like, I don't think about it anymore. I feel like we are just as connected as if we were in person. I'm focused. It's fine. And it's overall good. But there, again, are people, and there's nothing wrong with that, who say, for whatever reason, I need to drive to the place. I need to physically be in that space.
Yeah.
Technology is distracting for me. If I'm using any kind of tech, there's something about it that doesn't maybe feel, I don't know, like I'm really talking to somebody. And that can happen.
Cold.
It can.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I can't relate to the therapy aspect of this, but a big part of my job is providing training.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of training sessions for a lot of therapists in Nevada. And prior to COVID, they were all done in person.
Okay.
So I would be someplace, we'd have a location and I'd have 30 therapists show up for a day and I do a training.
Yeah.
Or I fly up to Reno and do a training up there, but it was all done in person. And I got used to that. And then COVID hit and then all of a sudden we're doing everything virtual.
Yeah.
And that was difficult for me because I'm very engaging as far as like I don't sit in one spot when I'm doing a training. I'm walking around the room. I'm using the whiteboard. I'm talking to people. I'm having groups get together and talk. And so it was very difficult for me to transition into doing that virtually, and it just felt very cold. It felt very impersonal.
I hate teaching online.
It was good. Yeah, it was really hard to get people engaged. Over time, it got a lot easier.
Yeah.
And then I learned to be less intimidated by it. And because I was really worried about like, I don't want to talk over somebody if they're trying to talk. There's a little bit of a delay, blah, blah, blah. You kind of forget about it and you just go through it.
Yeah.
So for me in that sense, it got easier, but I definitely agree with him in that. I also kind of look at this the same as like, when I was working out during COVID or trying to, I was used to going to the gym. And then COVID happened, so I'm like, I'll just work out from home. I can't do it.
Yeah.
If I'm home, I'm in a home mode.
Okay.
If I'm at the gym, I'm in gym mode.
Yeah.
And I think it's very easy for people to get that same thing with therapy too.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm used to going into a therapist's office, there's something about driving there, getting there, being in that environment that puts me ready and in this mood to be able to kind of open up and share and do the thing that I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I definitely see his point in that.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think if you did, Lee, stick with virtual telehealth, I think it would become easier over time.
I agree. Yeah.
But it's just a matter of, where you feel more comfortable.
This is the type of thing that I'm going to be very fascinated as technology with like VR stuff
Oh, yeah.
continues to get better.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
That's going
to be just a thing that people are going to do.
Absolutely. And I think over time, like in the very beginning of telehealth, I was really worried that the intimacy of therapy would be lost, that we wouldn't have that. And I never was a guy who used like FaceTime or like any of those texts. I just never really did it.
Yeah.
Skyped, I never did any of that. So Zoom for me was really my first attempt to do the video call thing. And I, personally, I was surprised by how real and how intimate it often was. A lot of, and Lee, I'm going to circle back to your question in just a second, but I just want to PSA about the context. Again, I am all for, I am biased. I enjoy telehealth therapy. I have a selective sample, right? Where the people that pick me seem to be great with it. So when you say, Jim, do people seem happy? Yep, they seem to be really happy. Like that's my sample, right?
Yeah, because
so I don't know. The people
if
that didn't
they weren't
pick
happy,
me,
they wouldn't be
they
with
didn't pick
you.
me. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that just said, oh, I like Jim, but I don't want to do the virtual thing. They went somewhere else. Like totally fine. So like I get it. But one of the things I noticed as a therapist, the office setting was more of an obstacle than it was an asset in general. And there's a lot of therapist conversation about how you're going to decorate your office. There's therapists that say it does need to be professional because that's a vibe and they need to feel cared for and like they're in a competent setting. So put your degrees on the wall, have a nice desk, keep it nice and clean. Don't get too personal with your shit. There's other people that say, no, that's sanitized and off-putting. It makes them feel like they're in a lawyer's office. I want them to feel like they walk into a nice warm hug in the room. So I'm going to have it be very homey and I want it to feel like you walked into my living room. There's me pictures on the walls and all this stuff and decorations. Some people say, no, I don't even want it to feel homey because that's distracting. It's too me in the room. I want it to feel inviting for anybody. There's all these different approaches, right? And it goes to show you how distracting being in this foreign environment can be, and driving across town, and what part of town are we in, and what part of day is it, and what's happening in your world. And so a lot of times when I was in person, I would have to put in some important effort in the beginning of the meeting just to get that person to feel disarmed in my presence. And that's another thing too, is like when I go to, I have pretty unique feelings about the way a therapist ought to dress when they're on duty. And I've had other therapists that, they strongly disagree with my perspective. I tend to err on the side of you're a professional, reflect the profession. Like you're,
Yeah, pull out the nice Crocs.
Yeah, wear the nice Crocs.
There you go.
The going out thong, really just put the effort in. Look decent is usually my rule. Like you could also take the session in the hospital and seem fine. Like you could walk in on that. But there are others who really feel differently about it. So my point is just telehealth was blessedly helpful in removing a lot of that. You're in your space. This glowing phone or iPad or computer is the only thing that has changed in your whole environment. You're wearing your clothes, you're in your PJs, you've got your cat on your lap, you're drinking tea from your favorite mug, everything smells and looks like it did 10 minutes ago. You are more at ease in that situation than if you drove across town and had to put on nice clothes and be seen in public.
Right.
And come see me. So it's an off and on kind of thing. So I tend to be biased in that direction, which again, I do not want to come off like I'm disagreeing with Lee. I'm trying to contextualize how people might feel in different ways. Because there's also another argument. I've had people that I want them not to work with me. I want them to work with an in-person therapist because part of what's going on in their life, they need to have change. They need to get dressed. They need to leave their place. Yeah. They need to do something different. And I'm trying to push them out the door to do more social activities. And in that situation, therapy is an important part of them disrupting their stagnancy and getting dressed and getting a coffee and going across town and sitting there and coming into my office and talking to me, and the office and its environment and the way it is different and they have to adapt to it is important. And like all of those are actually therapeutic assets. So it really depends on the case. I do think over time, Lee, it gets better. But I want to answer your question. Then I want to talk about all the people that are thinking about writing a letter. Is there things that Lee can do or the therapist can do that will make it more comfortable? If you are a therapist, I strongly encourage you to do some advanced training in CEUs on telehealth. I don't think you need to go through all the rigmarole of like special telehealth certifications. I've done those. I don't know that I've always benefited from them, but I do like CEUs where people have thought about it carefully and have some advice. I know for me, I was very intentional with telehealth. I am very intentional about my background. It is a partition. It's not virtual, no blurry background. It's a real physical object. I'm very intentional with what I wear. Always it's a collared shirt, like at a minimum, if not a button up. I'm very intentional about the microphone that I use. I didn't like the feeling of putting on like podcast headphones. I felt that was otherizing and took the person away from the image of talking to me in a natural way. It made me seem like I was recording a YouTube video or something with them, and I didn't like that imagery. So I intentionally chose a one-ear microphone that goes over the back of my head so that there's only a little bit of visual headphone that's happening. And then just a little stem mic that's sticking out over. But I wanted that mic because I wanted to control the sound, and I wanted to be very direct and something natural. But I also didn't want the person to see the whole headset on me, right? So it was very intentional choices with everything that I did with this. Excellent internet, put the investment in that. Make sure I had a really good high definition camera, so everything went through well. Chose like really good technology that made everything fluid and simple. Gave them very clear instructions so that they don't stress out like Lee did, like worrying about how to do the tech and everything like that. Just use your phone. It's okay. We can just do this by phone. Keep it interesting. Keep it easy. So I think that there's a lot of intentionality for how you can put people at ease, even through, technology and devices. And if you're out there and you're a therapist and you're training in this, really using those attending skills quickly. Whenever somebody logs on, jumping in with them, getting them conversational. I usually, and I could do a whole Patreon on this, but like one of the things I do right away is I speak first for maybe a paragraph, and I'll just like talk about something that's going on, or how about the weather, or and I'm really just letting that person calibrate their technology and their like connection to me speaking to them now, and letting their brain catch up that like, you're not hearing me through a podcast, you're not hearing me on YouTube. I'm talking to you and with you, and I'm letting you kind of get my, my rhythm and my pentameter and just start talking to me. That way they can reply in a natural way, but I'm letting them acclimate to me first, which I do in person too. But there's a lot of little things that can be done, Lee. Some of it has nothing to do with you. I want you to just be in the most comfortable place that you can find to take the session with the most reliable technology. I don't want you to overthink things like having a headphone, having a webcam, getting a big-ass computer. That's fine if that felt good for you to do. I usually tell people I am 100% comfortable with you just using a phone, getting something that can attach to your bed or to a desk or to a kitchen table that just anchors your phone, maybe like one of those bendy arm things that can just hold it for you.
Just a phone stand.
Perfectly fine. Yeah. A phone stand, use an iPad. Jacob has several that you can get if you ask nicely. He just for days he just shingles his house in them now.
I mean, you can just announce on your podcast that you want an iPad.
Yeah.
And people send them to you
magically.
Yeah,
they just show up.
Yeah.
So very, very possible. But I think that kind of stuff.
Plethora
will really
of
help.
iPads.
A plethora.
What is our advice to the people that are scared to send in a question because they think those guys won't read it? It isn't interesting enough. I'll sound dumb. I'm overthinking it. What is our advice to people that are nervous?
Except for the part about us not reading it. All that could just be true, and it's fine.
Good point. Yeah, solid.
We're going to read it.
Yeah.
There are letters that we've received that we don't read on the air.
But not because we thought they were dumb.
No.
Yeah.
No.
For different legitimate reasons.
Yeah, and I'll give you the spectrum, folks. If you want if you write a letter and within the last few shows we have answered that same topic, that might disqualify your letter. And that's just because we're an educational show, right? And so if like we just answered a question about substance use disorder, and it was very specifically about alcohol, and then we read, and this happens to me, Nick, I don't know if this happens to you. There are definitely times after 7 years where I'll hear a letter and I'll go, man, I'm pretty sure we already read that. And I'll think, oh no, I made a mistake. Like I think I accidentally didn't remove that from the queue. Do you ever have that problem where you're like, oh dude, I know we've answered that question?
Rarely. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of deja vu. Everything. We could have these same questions next week, and
we're
I'd
on a time
answer
loop.
it like
you don't
I
even
would.
know.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day, and you're fine with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've gotten questions that I've thought, shoot, I think we recently answered that, and I've had to go back through the transcripts and check, or through old scripts and see if we did. That's probably not going to get aired. You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes we will put it in we have like a Google document that's our queue, and we'll put it in there and we'll say like, hey, we answered this one in June or a similar one in June. Let's put this on ice and we'll come back to it down the road. And we have some questions that are sort of like in the ice chest as sort of like, let's circle back around to these if we ever don't have a more pressing or, kind of like timely question, we'll reach for those. So, I mean, that's how it works. Yeah. But otherwise, I would say...
Oh, in disclosure, Whitney and I don't see the emails when they come in.
Good point.
Mm-hmm. Like, Whitney, you guys send the questions to Whitney before the shows.
Yeah.
Before we record the shows. I hear the questions first time on the show.
Yeah, yours are always hot takes.
Yeah.
And, we've never really done a lot of pre-vetting. We look at so if your question is exceptionally long, if you really want to get your question read, and then we're going to wrap up the show here because I can see this being too much. But like, if you want to get your question read, read it out loud. Make sure that it sounds like something. If you time our questions when I read them, they're usually a couple of minutes. Like they're if they're one page, that's a lot. So get it out there in a couple of paragraphs, get to the point. If you're giving us tons and tons and tons of details, we're either going to heavily edit that, or sometimes we're going to say this question needs a lot of editing to be radio ready. So we're going to put it on the bench and come to it eventually. And we're going to read other questions that came in first that don't require any effort. You can always count on us to be lazy. That is a guarantee. So if you make it readable...
That's the Pod Therapy guarantee.
That's the Pod Therapy guarantee. Doesn't have to be of any particular topic. It's really whatever your truth is. Sometimes we get questions that are too short, and it's so quick that it's just like, hey, guys, speak about this particular disorder. And it's like not specific enough. It's just like, well, we're not just going to start lecturing on anxiety. Whatever. Our question...
That's
we do
the deep dive.
You
have to get on Patreon for that.
It's an hour and a half show.
It's not like we're going to do 6 hours on ADHD.
No, we're not going to do something silly.
A segment's going to be about 20 minutes on each one. So just give us a couple of paragraphs, tell us the deets, make it a specific question that's relatable to others. Sometimes we won't read something because it's way too specific or way too intense, and we don't think there's a learning opportunity. And sometimes people will ask us questions about current events, and they'll be like, oh, this just happened. What do you think about that? We gave up on that a long time ago because the show is just not that. Like, we're not a political commentary show or a current events show.
What we always say on Ice Cream Social, and I think it applies to us on this show as well, is that there are smarter people, there are more educated people on those topics that are already giving their takes on those.
Yes.
We don't need to join that conversation.
We'll throw bullshit on Patreon sometimes. We're like during COVID, I mean, I had lots of hot takes on things that were happening in the world.
Right.
And I'd put it on Patreon and be like, look, there are people that pay a little bit of extra money because they, are sad and desperate and want to hear Jim occasionally on a Monday morning. And those people get what they want, which is Jim bullshitting about the news. Or like when Trump got impeached the first time, I remember I had like a hot take on that and I had words on that, which was great because if you go back in the archives and listen to that, you can go check the commentary and you can see Smitty Scoop explaining to me how history works when I said a bunch of shit that wasn't true. And Smitty was immediately in the comments like, oh, Jim, you said a lot of things and now we're going to
let me just check my notes. Yep, that checks out.
All of it checks out. So, but the good news is that 95% of the letters that come through, we just glance at them. They seem the right size. We can figure out what the question's about really quickly, and we put it right in the script. We do not read them hard. I don't. I don't know when you're assembling the script.
Not at all.
Yeah. When I put them in the queue, I glance at them. I look at the top and the bottom. What's the title? What's the question I see at the bottom? Does it seem interesting? That's it.
I want to have more of a hot take on it than...
Yeah. I don't think either of us...
Yeah.
But there are times that we look at it and we're like, this is very specific, and to answer this question, we would be doing a disservice if we didn't research it first, because it's asking something about science or something about research. But again, if your question requires us to do any kind of work, like editing it or doing research to give it an answer, you're less likely to get on the next episode.
And you got a little longer road to hoe.
We are lazy. Extremely lazy. Lee, thank you for this question. Thank you for always supporting the show. Always look forward to seeing you when you're in Vegas. Love hanging out with you, brother. And glad to hear that you are doing this thing, even though it is inconvenient, even though the telehealth thing's not exactly your jam. But you're leaning in, man, and you're doing the work. And it's one of those things where you get out of it what you put into it. And I know sometimes it can be a little bit distracting. Like I always warn my patients, if you saw me in person, if we were sitting face to face and you were on the couch and I was on the chair, you would notice me holding a notepad and a pen. And while we're talking, I would look down and very conspicuously be writing things about what we're talking about. And you'd notice that, but you'd expect it. That's normal therapist behavior. In Zoom land, I'm still writing notes.
Yeah, it looks like you're on your phone.
Right, but I'm not going to look down. I'm not holding a notepad because I write notes in my system. It's on my computer. So you will notice that my eyes are hopping a little bit from left to right. I'm not, browsing the internet. I'm not, looking at weird stuff here. I'm not playing solitaire. I'm just writing notes. But that's going to be part of it. It's a little bit of a different experience. But I prep people with that so they know what to expect with my eyes, where they're moving, what I'm doing. So anyway, I'm glad you're sticking to it. I think it gets better, and I'm glad that you're not giving up on it, Lee. So keep leaning in, man. Keep doing the damn thing. And I'm glad to see you following through with it. I hope it gets more natural over time. As we wrap up the show, we want to remind you that you can sign up at patreon.com/therapy. You can get the extended show ad-free a day earlier, as well as enjoy our live chat Discord community and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. This Monday, I released the third installment of my series on questions every therapist should ask themselves, as written by the great late Dr. Carl Rogers, where I explain his theory. I read from his book and then also apply it to my life and then try to apply it to any listener's life, regardless if they're a therapist, using those therapeutic skills for their own advantages. Check that out. And we want to thank our new Patreons who support the show. Who's new to the Theraparty, Nick?
We got two new Therapods. Welcome to the show, Dale the King and Wolfie05.
Woo!
Also, we got to go back for a second. Apologies section.
Whoa, we haven't opened up that bitch in a long time.
We have not.
Wow.
Let me play the apologies
I
music.
forgot we used to have
Yes.
music for this.
Yes. Oh, this is beautiful.
God, that takes me back.
Wow.
Damn, remember when we used to
sorry.
do this every week?
Sorry.
We're sorry. Sorry.
We here
So
at Pod
sorry.
Therapy, we're sorry.
So sorry.
I have a very special apology to a listener who I'm not going to name on the show.
Yeah. Sorry.
But this listener had informed us that they were going to be in town
Yes.
and wanted to possibly meet up with us.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Schedules didn't work out very well. However, I had said, "Hey, I'm available under this certain time period," and the writer's like, "Awesome,
Perdoname.
cool. Should I just email you or DM you on Discord?" It's like, "Hey, just send me a DM on Discord."
Mea culpa.
And I didn't realize
Daka Shane.
I have to accept.
Donde
A
está
message.
la biblioteca?
I had to accept
You're
a
doing great,
message
Nick.
on Discord.
You didn't know how to do that?
I didn't know I had to. I
Oh.
thought it would just pop up and
No.
there'd be a notification.
Yeah.
There isn't.
No.
So I just now,
Saw that.
5 minutes ago,
Oh, just saw it.
saw it.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I just replied to it, and I feel terrible because I definitely would have met up.
In your
but
defense, I don't see those either. Like a lot of times I don't get, or I don't notice those notifications. So like if I'm
Yeah.
not already friends with the person and we're not already talking, I may not see the DM. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you.
So-
I had no idea this happened. So,
So
if anybody has
listener-
ever sent me a direct message on Discord,
I'm
I'm sorry. I didn't see your message.
Bienvenidos.
I didn't know that messages on Discord were a thing.
yeah,
until just
they
now.
are. So I'm sorry, listener.
Deep.
I apologize. I promise I
Adieu.
was not trying to ignore you.
We're
To
sorry.
Discord, we're sorry for not knowing how your software works.
But to be
Sponsor
fair,
the show,
I
Discord.
think like a bigger notification. I think that would be fun.
Maybe
Like,
if it made noise.
yeah, like I think you should do so. Yeah.
Speaking of visiting Vegas, if you're ever visiting Vegas, it's always good to ping us if you're a listener of the show and just let us know, hey, we're going to be in town.
Yeah.
This is our agenda. That's always a great idea. We may not always get there, but there's 4 hosts. And, historically, yeah, somebody might be bored and be like, yeah, sure, where are you? Fucking I'll come hang out. So it does happen. If you are a therapist and you are visiting Vegas and you are in town,
Fuck you.
You need to contact
Oh.
us because we'll bring you on the
Sorry.
goddamn show.
I went-
Like, yeah,
went
we'll
the
put
wrong
you
way
to
with
work. So if you're ever in town, except for Tonka Truck the Pony, because I really want the horse, I mean, Emma's cool, but Tonka, that's the get, not trying to get Emma. So bring the horse, Emma. We'd also like to thank the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. We just got an email from Tonka.
Oh, no.
I had actually emailed Tonka to see if they wanted to come on the show.
Yeah, what's the word?
I'm afraid they clopped twice.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Tonka, you pretentious bitch.
Yep. No, it's a horse.
Yeah. Oh, right. Mayor? Is that it?
There you go.
Pretentious mayor? That's something like that. The Thera partners, thank you, Dirty B, and thank you, Pickett. And we want to especially thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, their producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Myra, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Dawn, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Mrs. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Richard fucking Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley Slap in Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cone, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Matt Lisa Tangeman, Hell, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slippy Kai, Motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, Hannah Marie, Andrew Langmead, Bug Nuts, and Emma Kane, a.k.a. the mother of Tonka Truck the Pony.
And if you would like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
and why wouldn't you?
And enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy, and thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we've got for this week's session. Coming up in December, the Pudding Pie Fuckfest. Wait, what?
Pie?
We want to thank our landlords, Matt Manley's Ice Cream Social Podcast. And thanks to those of you who
word pie
contributed to
was definitely the word that confused me the
I needed
most.
alliteration, and I panicked.
Fuckfest didn't even bother me. It was just pie. I was like, what?
I'm glad that's the one you took issue with. You can sign up at patreon.com/therapy. Follow us on the socials if you can find us. Who cares? Tag us when you share this episode with others, which I hope you're doing every single week. And otherwise, give us money. Patreon.com/therapy.
And do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm the soon-to-be restored Dr. Jim Jobin.
Thanks. And we'll see you for your appointments next week.
$10 million question?
Okay. Let's do 5 points apiece.
Okay.
For the last 4.
Keeping it
Oh, we got
interesting.
4. Okay.
All right,
Last
let's go
4.
for it.
I think I'm first this time, right? This is round 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.